We'll call this meeting to order. If you will, please rise and join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Seifert, call the roll.
Ms. Collins?
Here.
Mr. Least?
Here.
Mr. Young?
Here.
Mrs. Pettit?
Here.
Mr. Beard?
Here.
Mr. Downs?
Okay, thank you. This hearing today is a continuance of the BZA hearing that was held November the 7th on case number 2023-08. What we'll do is we'll briefly summarize the case, and then we'll be asking if there's any additional comments that would like to be presented, and then we'll go into our deliberations. Anyone speaking before the group will need to take an oath that they're going to tell the truth. So with that, Mr. Seifert.
A letter has been submitted, or was submitted to the board from Miss Ashley Montgomery, property owner of 71 Fairfield Pike. The property owner is requesting a variance to allow animals and or fowl as pets or domestic use. The Enon Codified Ordinance Section 114104D allows animals only in agricultural district as and or fowl as pets for domestic use. And actually, all the letters from the original meeting has been sent out, and letters for this meeting has been sent out as well. So that's where we stand. It was suggested a motion to table from the last meeting for further investigation of for information. So that's where we're at.
Okay, thank you, sir. With that, Mrs. Montgomery, do you have anything you would like to share with the group? If you will, please take the oath.
Yeah.
I, and state your name,
I, Ashley Montgomery,
swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Go ahead.
Okay. I understand. I know I came before you on November 7th and expressed to you our concerns as far as having our chickens for our pets. I'm a little disheartened, though, at the fact that every other variance is posted on Facebook on the Village of Enon website, except for this particular variance. I feel as if this might be something because we don't want the whole public to know that I'm looking for a variance on chickens. Because it has become very popular, as you know, the rising price of food. We went on an egg shortage, so it is popular to have chickens. Even New York City allows them. So I hope I'm wrong, but it does look very obvious that obviously my age group is very big on social media, and it was not posted. With every other variance is posted, though. So I just am a little concerned about the fact that we might be being bullied here on the fact that we want to have these chickens as our pets. They're not disturbing to any of our other neighbors. We have talked to them except for one because they don't want to look at them. And I'm sorry that that is what they have to look at and that they don't want to. But it was very disheartening that we were told that we should sell our home and move somewhere that our chickens are allowed. Well, my response is they should sell their home and move where they have no neighbors to where they could possibly look at something they don't want to look at. I don't think it is fair that we're being singled out on that because they don't want to look at them. That's, to me, not a very good reason. And whatever happened to love thy neighbor? The day after we signed for our home, my Aunt Jamie actually had a conversation with Rose in regards to our chickens, that what we were going to do. And at that moment, the decent thing would have been was to talk to us about it and told us that we could not have them, because at that moment we were under the impression that we could have them. That was misinformation, obviously, but why not just have the conversation with us, you know? Again, I feel like this is something that we are being bullied because they don't want them in the neighborhood, and I get it. I get people don't like change, but sometimes change is good. And if you don't want to set a precedent, then make restrictions on it, just like you make restrictions on building buildings outside. There was a variance for someone wanted their driveway wider. You know, put restrictions on those things. Obviously, he had to get a variance because there's a restriction on the height of the driveway. Put a restriction on the fact that the building has to be this particular, you know, the sizing, have the tasteful fencing, whatever the case may be. Obviously, no roosters. I completely understand the no roosters. I personally don't know why anybody would want to rooster other than for fertilization of the eggs, but that's kind of where I'm at with it. We were very proud to move to Enon. We were very proud to live in Hope Meadows. I was very proud that we were able to do so and to provide a very wonderful home for our children and my grandmother, of whom I take care of. So our house was perfect, and when we found it, we thought it was perfect, and we were very proud to live there. Please don't make me regret that proudness, because at this moment, I'm starting to regret it.
Okay, thank you. Is there any comments from the public? Okay, I'll take the second row first. Please, on the following note, I, and state your name,
I, Jessica Harvey,
swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. I am 5'7", Fairfield Pike. I'd like to say first that it's my hope that this property owner is permitted to keep their chickens. And I wanted to point out a couple things. When I asked a question last month if this would set a precedent, I was distinctly told no. Should anyone else want chickens, they'll have to do this same process. So that to me means that this decision is based solely on this one property owner. Also, pointed out last month that there was no code violation present, as there is no code, and it's not clear that it is treated here as no code means not permissible. I would not have known that. Coming from Columbus, it's the other way around. If there's no code, it's free range to do as you please. And I respect that, you know, the community as it stands has that right to, you know, what they've created, and, you know, it being well maintained and quiet. And we came here because we like that. So I am in agreement that, you know, I'm just asking for codes. Tell us what we need to do in order to maintain that well maintained look. As well as the fact that no complaints were made as to the sound of the chickens. And based on what I heard, it was mostly just, I don't want to see it. And for me, I think a compromise could be made to put up a privacy fence so that the neighbor doesn't actually see it. If that is the compromise that could meet it, since it doesn't set a precedent. That's what I was told. Outside of that, I think that's all I got. And I don't like to speak publicly.
All right, thank you. Ma'am? If you will, on the oath. I, and state your name,
I, Rosalie Gibler,
swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
All right.
I am sorry that she feels like she's being bullied. I was probably one of the first neighbors that went up and welcomed them to the neighborhood. When she told me she was having chickens, I didn't say anything because I didn't know if they were allowed or not. It was after that that I looked into the ordinances and covenants, and was told by the Clark County and well, led to believe by Clark County and the village that they were not, even though it was not stated such. But I've even been over there since then, took the kids some cookies. I'm flabbergasted that somebody is calling me a bully. I felt that way the first time I was here when she stood up and said, I know who's behind this. And I felt that was directed at me. And I have no bad feelings towards anyone. I was just checking out. I was just going by the ordinances of what I thought they were. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sir.
I, Robert R. Potts, live at 91 Fairfield Pike, swear to tell the truth and the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay, I got a little bit to go through here, so please bear with me. I'm appearing for the second time concerning the variance requested by Ashley Montgomery to be allowed to keep chickens. Her family moved to Hawk Meadows in October of 2023. I'm appalled at the reception she has received. She did not receive a warm welcome from Enon, but a zoning violation letter over chickens. A minority are opposed to her son's pets. Approximately 70 years ago, I'm sorry, I lost a pet for the same reason. My parents moved, bought a house that advertised a pony barn, and after they bought the house and had the closing, were informed zoning regulations would not allow them to have the pony. They sold my pony. I don't want to see her or her kids go through that heartache. Let's see if I can calm down. At the last meeting, there were a lot of regulations thrown out, so I've spent a lot of time going through them. Hawk Meadows, number 1, section 1, protective covenant, paragraph 10 reads in its entirety. We were only given a portion of it. No pigs, cows, chickens, pigeons, horses, or other livestock or poultry may be kept on any lot except that the usual household pets may be kept, providing they are not kept for any commercial purpose. And further, providing they are not to become an annoyance or nuisance in the neighborhood. This provision, in my mind, has two problems. In 2023, what is a usual household pet? A pot-bellied pig, an exotic snake, a miniature horse, a Maine Coon cat, all are kept as pets all over the country. Over the past 50 years, the definition of a usual household pet has changed. The second thing I find with this ordinance is if a homeowner raises pedigreed dogs or cats and sells the puppies or kittens, they appear to be in violation of the commercial purpose clause. While I am not a lawyer, unless a violation of the provisions in the covenant is also a violation of a village ordinance, violation of the protective covenant would be a civil matter. It took me over 4 hours of searching to find the protective covenants. They are filed with the plat drawing in Clark County's recorder office. They were not provided to me when I purchased my home, and after discussion with the neighbors, they too had not been. I'm sorry. Provided a copy of the covenants with their closing papers. Clark County Zoning Regulations Section 102 clearly states the provisions of the zoning regulations shall apply to unincorporated land areas. Per Telcon with them, under the Clark County Planning Commission, under which the zoning is amended, zoning issues within the village of Enon are not subject to the Clark County zoning ordinances. This village was incorporated in 1850, so it is not unincorporated. Their zoning regulations do not apply to them. Ohio Revised Code 71001 to 7140 addresses and regulates the creation of a plat. It has nothing to do with the application of a variance. Ohio Revised Code 571330 defines agricultural land as greater than 10 acres. Enon Codified Ordinance 1141 states that this district has been established to provide for agricultural activity on large tracts and open areas of land. Since the property in question is less than 1 acre, this should not be considered a large tract. As such, I do not think the agricultural ordinance should apply. After reviewing Enon Codified Ordinances, I could only find 2 references to chickens under both under Part 5, General Offenses. No person being the owner or having charge of cattle, horses, swine, sheep, geese, ducks, goats, turkeys, chickens, or other fowl or animals shall permit them to run at large upon any public place or upon any unenclosed lands or upon premises of another. The second place I found it was in Enon Codified Ordinance 505.12a, coloring rabbits or baby poultry for sale or display of poultry. No person shall dye or otherwise color any rabbit or baby poultry, including but not limited to chicks and ducklings. These offenses would lead one to believe that a multitude of animals may be kept in Enon, and as long as you do not allow them to run free or dye them. Last, a lot of discussion is about this being R2 property. A review of the Enon Codified Ordinance for R2 does not address animals of any nature. I have been advised that if the codified ordinance does not specify that something is allowed, then it is prohibited. R2 does not specify dogs or cats or chickens may be kept as pets. Since dogs and cats are not listed under R2, should all of those pet owners be required to apply for a variance? I am sure the zoning board and the city administrator would just as soon not go down the road of what can be kept as a pet in a residential area. It is far better to handle each request for a variance on a case-by-case basis. Last, a quick search on the internet listed Dayton, Columbus, Cleveland, and Cincinnati as allowing chickens. Please grant her variance.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Okay. Yes, ma'am. If you will, and state your name,
I, Sandra Smith,
swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Go ahead.
I live across the street from Ashley and her family, one house down. I have never seen her chickens, and I have absolutely no problem with her having the chickens. And I just wanted to express that I don't think they're a problem at all in the neighborhood. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else wishes to address the board? Okay. With that, we'll move into our deliberation. Are there any board members that have any questions or would like to make a decision?
I'll go ahead.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve the variance with no roosters. How many did you have? 10 hens?
We have 12 hens.
12. Up to 12 hens.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
there any discussion?
I don't think you can approve or deny it. There has to be some fine lines made.
Sorry about that. Explain.
I think this leads for the whole town and the whole village of Enon to be coming and asking for all kinds of, no offense to you, we have chickens in our family, not at my house. I live in Hawk Meadows. We've lived there, Jason's lived there for over 20 years. And we also did not get those paperwork. He's bought 4 houses in Hawk Meadows since the 90s and never received that. And his agent was well known in this community. We sold his house, bought ours. Didn't know anything until this year about the codes and variances of Hawk Meadows. My suggestion is now to make sure they get out there. I'm not as much worried about Hawk Meadows as I am every other person who isn't going to do the right thing and carry on the chickens the way they should be. Not you.
I mean, I agree with you.
And there's not everybody that's going to be concerned or care. They're going to want ducks and goats and sheep. Talk to somebody from the meeting today about how this is changing the whole community and the livestock and things that need to be done differently. And we all agree. You just can't sit here and say yes, because somebody else might come in and throw up a fence in their front yard and say, well, she has chickens. So to me, it's not a matter of yes or no. It's a matter of some rules, stability, making sure we don't have chickens running all over Enon, and goats and sheep and cows. And I'm sorry that you didn't get to keep your horse, and I'm sorry you were misrepresented back in the day. I have pets. I love my pets. I've lived in this community since 16. I've been available to this community since Jason and I have been together, and that's been almost 20 years. I'm sorry that you feel bullied. I don't think anybody's bullied you. I don't feel that that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to set some new precedences for new different things going on in 2023.
I get that, but I also feel like our privacy is, I feel like no matter what we do in our backyard, it's going to be taken a photo of, or just nosiness. I'm sorry.
I live in a neighborhood on the other side, and I had a lady come to me and complain about where my son's car was sitting. Okay,
She
so
came to you and talked to you. She didn't.
No,
report
she didn't
to
come
the
and
Village
talk.
of Enon.
She did not come and talk to us. She came and screamed profanities, okay? So basically, I understand what you're saying, okay? I understand. They put cameras up to watch us, okay? I get that. That's what happens when you live in a neighborhood where we live, okay? You can't prevent what other people do. You can only prevent what you do.
Exactly. And
So
we're just trying to raise our
But you-
kids in a neighborhood,
I understand
a
that.
nice neighborhood.
What I'm saying is, I don't think anybody here wants to clearly flat out say no, but I don't think it's just a clear yes. There has to be something behind the yes that prevents people from just throwing up a chicken coop in their front yard, their side yard, their wherever, and then coming and asking for a variance after the fact. I've already talked to your listing agent, and he did not say anything about any chickens one way or the other.
We never met with that listing agent. Actually, his wife was there at our open house. It was never, the listing agent was never there.
But you had led us to believe at the last meeting that the listing agent and your agent,
They were at our open house. His wife was there.
Excuse me, Chairman, if they're gonna talk out here, they need to come up here to the podium, please. I'm not shutting them off. They need to come up here and be on record.
But we were not, I did not know that that was not the listing agent. She represented herself as the listing agent. It was his wife. So that
the same.
should not, no, it's not. We go off of what she said. That's the listing agent, not our agent. And in my opinion, there are things in process, like the fact that I'm here, standing here, having this conversation about having a variance. There are things in place.
That's perfectly fine. I did talk to the family that listed that house. I am a realtor. I work with them, and that was not the case of what they told me. So I'm just stating that.
Okay.
And if I moved into a neighborhood, I would have done my research as a buyer on that property, and I wouldn't have put something up. We did this a month before with Sandra Crossan and her son, where they put up a shed without telling anyone, and they had to go clear to Clark County to see if the variance would work. And it was a shed that was already there. They replaced it. They didn't ask. They didn't do any research. They didn't tell anyone. They just did it.
I did do the research, and I already acknowledged the fact that it was the wrong research.
All right. Okay.
So,
Jeremy?
And this is exactly why we feel bullied.
yeah, so as a board, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not our job to set precedent or to worry about what happens in the future. Our job is to hear this one variance and move on from that, correct? I mean, that would be Kevin's job in the village to establish ordinances. That's not our job to say. So our job only today is if they're going to have chickens or not.
Our job is to interpret the zoning code
Correct.
as it is written, and then
Correct.
whether the variance is appropriate based on the zoning code.
Correct.
And it has been the practice of this village that permissible uses are, at least major permissible uses are listed as what's permitted in each of the various zones. So it'd be my feelings that because livestock has basically been listed in as defined by the agricultural district, as those animals are to be in an agricultural zone, then that property would need to be agriculture, but since it's in a residential zone, it's unlikely it would become rezoned agriculture.
Correct.
Because it doesn't meet that qualifications. You could look at any of our others, what's permissible in
I
some of
understand
our
what we're doing here. Yeah.
our other zones, and you use that logic, you could put it in any of the other zones.
Yeah, I was just making,
Yeah.
I mean, we're not here to set a precedent.
And depending upon whatever our decision is, either parties can always appeal it to the
Correct.
village council, but it does take a supermajority vote of the council to overturn our decision.
Correct.
Is there any further discussion?
Mayor Howard, could I say something?
I'm Elmer Beard.
I'm Mr. Beard. I'm sorry. Mr. Beard.
This name tag.
My eyes aren't that good. Come up and address you. The question here seems to me is, if it was an agriculture area, she would not have to apply for a variance. The Enon codified ordinances define a agriculture area as a large tract of land. So the agricultural portion of it does not apply to her. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm just reading the ordinances. And in my mind, they would not apply. What applies is she's asking for a variance in the residential area. And the residential area does not list what can be kept as pets. It does not say you can have cats, dogs, fish, birds, or chickens. So, to my mind, if she has to get a variance to keep chickens, every other person in that area is going to have to go ask for a variance to keep their dogs unless they change the ordinance to say they can keep dogs. And there are a lot of dogs in that neighborhood. And cats.
Thank you.
And I'd also like to point out that there are people in Enon keeping chickens. You can go right next door to the library and find chickens, and I believe at one time there was some goats in there.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Any further comments by the board? Okay, we do have a motion and a second to grant a variance. And Mr. Seifert, will you reread that?
There's a motion on the table to approve the variance up to 12 hens, made by Mr. Lee, second by Mr. Young.
Okay. If there's no further discussions, I'll go ahead and call for a vote.
Ms. Collins?
No.
Mr. Least?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mrs. Pettit?
No.
Mr. Beard?
No.
That motion did fail.
So, is there any other business?
Since it did fail, that you would have that right to appeal to council. And I think you have 30 days. I will clarify that tomorrow right away and get back with you. I don't know that right off the top of my head, but I think it's 30 days.
If there's no further business?
I have a question.
Yes.
Will the rest of us continue to be notified if she appeals to the next step?
Mr. Seifert will follow all notification processes.
Yep.
If there's no other business, meeting's adjourned.